It is picked off by Eric Crocker. Over midfield, he'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Crock Talk TV podcast. Peace. Welcome to another episode of Wideout Wednesday. I'm your host, former NFL and AFL defensive back Eric Crocker, joined as always with my guy Jasper Rose. Jasper, man, what's good with you?
What's up with it, man? What's up?
Man, I'm just ready to talk some football. So we're going to get into just some things that's going on, obviously surrounding the 49ers and the receiver group, or a tight end, because you got Jordan Matthews. He just signed. We want to get into that. Coming over from being receiver to tight end, having to put on that weight. We'll see how that kind of helps him, or maybe it limits him in certain areas. Peter King will get into his topics or his comments on the 49ers receiver group, saying that slot receiver was a weakness, but the two outside guys, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, are top. He said there's not 7 teams in the NFL that have better outside receivers than 49ers. So we'll get into that. And just some other stuff, obviously Trey Lance and, just kind of Jalen Hurd. He's out there practicing, all right? So we're going to get into all that and more. But first, make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button right now. Hit that like button right now. If you're tuned in on Periscope, I'm pretty sure a bunch of y'all tuned in on Periscope. No, come over to YouTube right now. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Greatly appreciate it.
Come to death row.
Yeah, man. Yeah, hey, right here. Yeah, Jagger. Yeah, show Croc some love. Hit that thumbs up. Let's go. Notification bell, all that good stuff that you're talking about. And obviously, as always, this show is powered by Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code Crocky if you haven't already signed up. When you deposit a minimum $10, use my promo code Crocky. It'll put an additional $25 into your account. All right. So make sure you guys do that right now. All right. But first, I want to give a big shout out to my dog Jasper, because once I brought Jasper in, I'm like, whoa, he got the mic and everything, man. So he started taking this podcast and stuff serious.
Yeah, man. It was about time. I was seeing too many people laugh at me on the podcast game, man. I didn't like the aesthetic, so I needed to get the mic. Hopefully I sound really crisp and clear, and I got my good podcast voice now. So yeah. Let's get it. Let's get after it.
Oh yeah, man. Nah, you good, man. And so yeah, that's exciting, man. We got a lot of good things coming up on the show. Not just this show, but just for kind of Crock Talk TV in general and things we'll be working on. All right. But first, let's get into Jordan Matthews, because we haven't talked since Jordan Matthews was signed. And you've been saying 49ers need that big body receiver. They need the big body receiver. And they didn't get a receiver. They got a big body receiver turn tight end. Right. Now they're talking about Jordan Matthews and put on like 25 pounds. And I don't know if that's just him trying to hang around the NFL and kind of extend his career. If that was his plan, like, it worked. But he was a guy that they sent to North Dakota State to work with Trey Lance for his pro day. So do you think that's something that maybe contributed to him being able to get picked up by the 49ers?
Definitely. And I know, Kyle probably kept him in his back pocket. Like it seems like he has been doing since he's been, I don't know, what was he, practice squad last year, the Super Bowl run? Like he's been bringing him back in and out, and I can attest to that, because that happened to me a lot, being a practice squad kind of guy. Being, you're just trying to stick around. You're looking for a job, and you'll do it by, he's trying to stick in the league, and I think he still feels like he could play at a high level. So you're gonna do whatever you have to do. This does seem kind of like a last ditch effort to kind of hang around the league. I haven't personally seen him or any workout videos, so I don't know if he's legit put on a 20 to 30 pounds, like, they're reporting. But I know he's not a guy who could stretch the field anymore. He never really was, even at his best with Philly, his best years with Philly. He never struck me as somebody who could stretch the field, but he was a good possession receiver. I think he ran decent enough routes, used his body a lot. But I mean, I definitely have caught him running post, running seam routes. So if you're gonna put him at the tight end, I think he can definitely win in that position. As long as you're not asking him to do, chip guys and do a lot of run pro, like, I think he could definitely excel in whatever role they kind of, try to figure out what they can use him as. Again, he's got a lot of competition in that. Even if he's going to be the H or your tight end or even jump in the slot, he's got a lot of guys he's got to leapfrog for that. So I think it's a long shot, and I still, at the end of the day, think it's more of a last ditch effort, because he's also going to be behind Dwelly and Warner, right? For that, if he's
I don't know about Warner, man. Listen, this tells me that I don't know how confident they are in Warner. You know, he was a guy, obviously you got George Kittle, he's the big dog. You got Dwelly, you know, he's been consistent. And then you have Warner, who is supposed to be coming in and being a like tight end, blocking tight end or
Blocking
whatever.
tight end. Yeah.
And apparently he graded out as like one of the worst blocking tight ends on the 49ers or in the NFL or something like that. So what was supposed to be a strength of his wasn't even a strength, and he's not a pass catching type guy. So I don't know if Jordan Matthews is coming in to potentially replace him, but they went and tried to sign to a couple of tight ends, right? The Pruitt guy. They brought in Delaney Walker. And so I don't know how confident they are with Warner, or if it's just, well, this is just a depth move, and all right, let's just bring him in just in case, you know, Jordan Matthews, let's see him, and if we have to release him, we could possibly bring him back. But I don't know, man. Like I don't know how high they are on Warner.
Yeah, I don't think they are very high on him. Just basically, I mean, obviously, you know, they brought in Jordan Reed last year. He leapfrogged them, and then they looked at Delaney Walker and then Pruitt, and now Jordan Matthews. So yeah, I could see Warner probably out of here after probably first or second cuts at best. I mean,
So,
writing's on the wall with that.
Real quick, so this is not 49ers related, but we did have a question here. Y'all see that massacre last night, that ass whooping the Locks put on Dipset? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did. Enjoyed it thoroughly. I mean, I grew up on that. I grew up on the Locks.
I'm a Dipset type guy. I'm a Locks type guy. You know what I'm saying? Rough Riders, all that. But I have my theory on why it looks so lopsided, man. And it was just like, it was almost like, and I know y'all came here for Niners talk, but we're going to just touch on this real quick. But it felt like the Locks, like they just had their stage presence, and they had like a plan and they attacked it, right?
And they're lyricists.
Yeah, I mean, but even lyricists aside, because when it comes to verses, it's not even so much about lyrics, it's about like how big was the song? Like how much can you get everybody into it? Can you bring that excitement? And I felt like with the Locks, even though songs that weren't big, like they were playing songs off they mixtapes and stuff like that, and it was still popping, because I mean they're up there, they together, they finishing each other's lyrics and stuff. Then you got Dipset, and Dipset up there. They don't know.
Even with balling, like it wasn't even like it. Like when they played balling, like it wasn't even like hype like that. And the Locks had more the features that the Locks had, like All About the Benjamins. Some of the songs of Mary J. Blige, like their collaborations was what really killed them off. Like if they weren't allowed to use their features, it definitely wouldn't have looked the way it looked. So, because Dipset definitely has more commercial hits that people really that resonate with a lot more people, especially in our age group. But yeah, the Locks have so many collabs. I mean, I had forgot about All About the Benjamins. I forgot about some of the stuff they did with Rough Riders. You know what I mean? So I think that's what it was. Plus the energy of Kiss. Kiss just, I mean, it's Jada.
Nah, he killed it.
Yeah, it's Jada. You know what I mean?
But all right, so we talked a little bit about Jordan Matthews going out there and working with a guy named Trey Lance up in North Dakota State during his second pro day. And obviously this is a receiver show, but what are your thoughts on Trey Lance and everything that's coming out? Because the hype is like, it feels like Shanahan's kind of trying to control it and keep it in there, but it's big now, and now it's going all over mainstream, all the ESPN and NFL networks and all that. They done picked up on it. But what are your thoughts on what you think is going on there in Santa Clara?
Well, that was going to happen regardless with the hype train. Whether he could have been asked the first 7 days of practice, and the hype train was still going to be there based off where we took him. So, and everything we did to get him, and also based off of, because the hype train was there even before day one. Before, you know what I mean? They were already talking about should he start over Jimmy before he even threw a pass. So the hype train was going to be there, just for all that alone. And it's very obvious that within the media that the Niners tried to move on from Jimmy multiple times. They flirted with Tom, tried to get Stafford. So it's obvious that they are looking for an upgrade at that position. It's a premium position, so they're going to do what they got to do. And the fact that he's come out and has looked the way he's looked in camp has obviously intensified the hype train, and I think it's real. I mean, it's not by accident that we're hearing a lot of good things from some people we didn't expect to hear good things from, running with the second team that is running with Trey. He's making explosive plays happen. I mean, Crock, I don't know how I didn't send you the video because I didn't have to. I knew you saw it, but the throw he made the other day, bro, Jimmy could never. And this is why they did what they did.
Well, it's not even that Jimmy
Shanahan,
can't. Like,
he
bro,
just
Jimmy
wouldn't.
won't. He won't
He won't.
attempt it, and that's been kind of my
You know what
bigger
throw I'm
issue with
talking
him.
about. I mean,
Yeah, like
flat-footed, rolls to his left, flat-footed, off the back foot, 50-yard flick of the wrist. Like, stop. Like, that's crazy. Like, not a lot of people are doing that. Not a lot of QB1s are doing that, regardless of how old he is, man. And the fact that he's picked up this offense is everything I'm hearing, that he's picked up the offense really quickly is just a testament to what they said about him in the draft process of how smart he is. And that's good to know that it wasn't just, lip service, that he's actually about that life and hitting the books.
you hear the offensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel, he came out and he was like, he's to the point now where he's like kind of coaching up dudes on the field. And I'm like, bro, come on, man. Like, we're talking about a dude. And again, I was excited about the Trey Lance pick, but if somebody wanted to be kind of reserved with their optimism, because only 1 year at North Dakota State, was only a freshman, hasn't played in 2 years. Obviously, I was assuming like, well, there's going to be like some kind of transition period, right? Like,
we were just excited it wasn't Mac. If we're being honest, we were excited it wasn't Mac. Like at the beginning, we were stressed out, bro. We were talking every day leading up to that, and it was stressful to think there's no way it can be Mac. Like it can't be Mac. And this is why he's proven why it couldn't be Mac. And we haven't even talked about his running plays. Like I'm hearing he's scoring every day on his own read. Like I said, like on the goal line, like it's going to be cake for him to just pull a lot of those, man. Like he's had some long runs I've heard too. Like it's going to be tough not to see him starting week 1 if he keeps this up.
So why do you think like Kyle Shanahan, and I'll kind of give my thoughts on this, but why do you think Kyle might be trying to keep everything in it and not really kind of show him? Do you think he just wants to keep him humble? Do you think Kyle is just like, nah, man, like, he says stuff. Well, I mean, he played well. I mean, he wasn't perfect or anything, but it's just like, really, Kyle, like, do you have to say those type of things?
Right. I think it's a little bit of two things. One, he wants to keep Jimmy's confidence up, because whether he starts Trey week 1, week 2, week 3, whatever the case may be, whenever Trey takes over, if Jimmy is still on the roster, he wants his confidence there regardless, in case he ever has to go back to him, especially given the fact that Trey runs a lot. He could get hit, God forbid, and get injured. I think it's another factor is I think he's still got some PTSD of RG3's rookie year. So I think he wants to just pump the brakes. He's seen this before. You know what I mean? I think he's been here before. You know what I mean? He might be having deja vu and flashbacks to what RG3 was looking like in camp. And then obviously he went on to have a great rookie season, but then we kind of know what transpired after that. So I think it's a little bit of both of that. I can't figure it out though. I'm going back and forth in my mind as far as strategic, as far as, okay, but do they want to, whoever they tried to trade him to, nobody was biting for the third, second, whatever the case may be. So I don't see, I guess, the motive to downplay Trey so much to the fact that you're trying to hype up Jimmy, because nobody's going to believe it. Everybody else is reading the same things and seeing the same highlights, seeing this guy is clearly beating him out. Jimmy's not better.
Well, hold on. I don't want to say he's just beating them out, because they are, you do have one guy that's going against starters and the other guy going against twos. So I don't want to say he's beating it out, but I will say from an ability standpoint, right? Like, why you draft a guy like Trey Lance? You draft Trey Lance because he's a big, athletic, mobile quarterback that can expand on what you want to do and be able to push the ball downfield. And then he comes in, and Trey Lance is showing you that he's a big, strong, athletic quarterback who's mobile and is able to push the ball down the field and off script plays. So it's like everything that you wanted, he's doing. At what point do you think he starts to get more reps? Kyle Shanahan's kind of brushing it off and like, when he starts to play better than the guy in front of him. And it's like, bro, what do you like, Kyle? We all see what's going on. We're looking at the numbers. We see the numbers every day. Like, we see how efficient he's getting day by day. He has thrown over the last 2 days. He's thrown two incompletions on what about 30. 26 attempts or whatever it is.
7 for 8 today, and
then 13 out of 14
yesterday. Yeah.
Like okay, Kyle. Like, what else? And he's throwing bombs. He's pushing the ball down the field. Like, I mean, like he done completed about 5 or 6 40+ yard throws. Like Kyle, what are we talking about, bro? Like
Yeah.
that's
And I
crazy.
think that's just he might, and that's another. I think that might also be like just that Jedi mind trick, that same like Nick Saban, like Bill Belichick, like school of thought. And they're not gonna gas nobody up. What's his name was like that a lot. Coach Arbet was. I feel like Coach Arbet was like a Sabercats.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can. He was. He's never gonna gas you up or hype you up. And I think Kyle's got a lot of that in him, strictly because he's a son of a coach. He's seen just about everything. You know what I mean? Like he watched the glory as a kid. He saw Steve Young and Jerry Rice. Like he's seen everything. I don't think anything's going to just blow him away and impress him to the point where he's just going to be gushing with the media. He might do it behind closed doors. He might gas him up behind closed doors, but I don't think he's
Right.
ever just going to be, just
And
he's
maybe
not going to give him flowers and let us know that he's giving him flowers.
right.
Let's put it
And
that
maybe
way.
he's had these kind of conversations with Trey Lance where he's telling him, like, look, you know how I feel about you. You know your time is coming. You know I got to play it like this because
Facts,
we
big
got
facts.
Garoppolo and I owe Garoppolo more respect. Told him
Absolutely.
when we drafted you that we give him an opportunity. So I want to kind of put it out there. I'm giving him every opportunity to be the guy and show what you can do. And then you got John Lynch saying, well, you got Jimmy G's playing the best, talking to Adam Schefter, he's playing the best ball that we've seen since he's been here. It's like, if this is the best, then what the hell is this fresh rookie doing? Because this looks way more impressive, like
Yeah,
every day. And I mean, I don't know, man. We're good. Let's get off of that real quick because I
that's
know this is a
like
receiver podcast, and I know y'all have heard a lot of takes on the quarterback position, situation,
we
the big plays and everything. But I will say it's extremely, extremely exciting to see because that's all we've wanted. And
and we would be remiss if we didn't bring it up. I mean,
right.
we can talk receivers all we want, but somebody's throwing them the ball.
Well, one
they're
last
not
thing I
they're
want to
not
say.
throwing it to themselves.
Right. One last thing I do want to say is it was funny. I remember watching Josh Allen last year just carve up the Niners and like just tear the
That Monday
Niners up.
night game. The Monday
And
night
I'm
game.
just like, man, like, wouldn't it be nice if Kyle had a quarterback like that? That's just like, it's just like you're trying to figure out how to stop him. You just can't because you rush him, he moves and he throws the ball. He steps up. Okay, hits a guy here. He could take off, run. They ran quarterback powers when he's throwing the ball downfield. I'm like, damn. And the tough thing is like, well, a lot of times it's not guys that just have that ability. It's hard to get those type of guys. And as of right now, man, it seems like 49ers have that type of guy. So that's definitely exciting,
And
man.
Kyle said that after that game too, in the
Right.
presser. Remember he
Yeah.
said that?
Yeah. So real quick, guys, if you guys aren't already, we got a good amount of people up in here. Got some people over coming over from Periscope. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. So head over, subscribe right now. Hit that like button. We got over 60 people in here right now. So I should have over 60 likes, man. I appreciate everybody coming in here and showing love. But now we're gonna get into Peter King's comments, man. I wish I had it in front of me, or I wish I had the sound bite. But Peter King, he was on Matt Mayoko's podcast with Laura Britt, and Laura asked him saying, hey, like, just from an optimistic standpoint, like, what's one thing that stood out to you from being at 49ers training camp practice? And he was like, I don't think that there are 5, 6, or 7 teams in the NFL with better outside receivers than Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. All right. And I talk because there are good groups. There are guys that have been extremely productive around the NFL. You could probably name, 10, 12, 13 different groups that maybe have had more productive seasons. But if I had to kind of put my thinking cap on and dive into what exactly he's saying, I think it's more so of a guy that is there and he's just watching what this group can be. Right. It's like, man, like I'm watching, I'm seeing Ayuk going crazy. He's catching passes here. His route's crazy. Okay, Deebo Samuel, he's fast. He's stretching the field. And it's like, damn, this is a top 7 group if healthy in the NFL. And if probably they have Trey Lance throwing the ball. But like these guys are legit. What do you think about his comments on just kind of where the receivers are and your thoughts on those guys? Because I mean, just last week or 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how people were saying Deebo Samuel was a glorified running back.
Right. I would have to pump the brakes with Peter King like that. Like that's some high praise. And I know Peter King, he's well respected in the journalism business in the NFL. He's been doing it for a very long time. So I I think maybe he's speaking from an athlete, from pure athletes, pound for pound. Yeah, there's not too many receivers that are better than Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk as far as athletes, which is why they went where they went, and which is why they're compared to some of the guys they've been compared to. Obviously, Ayuk being compared to someone like Julio Jones, that's been his pro comp from a lot of people, including his peers. And then Deebo, we discussed, he's basically like, poor man's Quana Anquan. So, those are great pro comps. And I think from that standpoint, I could see his point. But neither one of them, I think, are as polished enough to be rated that high. I think I saw the top 5 wide receiver duos. I don't know if it was ESPN or Fox Sports. I don't know who it was, but I think top 5 wide receiver duos. I think it was Bucks, not in any order. Bucks were 1, Chiefs, Titans, Cowboys with Coop and CD, and then I can't remember who.
There's the Rams with Cup and
I think they were. No, I don't think the Rams weren't even on there. It was the Cowboys, Chiefs, Bucks, Titans. Titans snuck in there, and I can't remember who the 5th one was. I really can't. And that wasn't even Seattle with DK and Tyler. Right. So
would you have them ahead? I mean, you'd have to say yeah right now, right?
Absolutely. Just with the numbers and the numbers they put up, I would have to. But I would say the Niners, they could come in at the top 10. Honestly, I think Brandon Ayuk and Deebo have the potential to definitely be a top 10 duo in the league. I think just where Peter King had him was a little high. I'm biased, and I think that's high. But again, I think from being, we're going to see what kind of leap Ayuk takes in year 2. We saw obviously Deebo had injury issues, so his year 2 is more of like a sophomore slump. Now, I don't think there's anything that is with him, his tangible skill set, so to speak. It was just more so his availability. So we'll see basically, this is going to be his year 2 to me, because last year was a wash. Like, if you really think about it, Croc, he really wasn't on the field much.
Right.
So this is going to be Deebo's year 2, along with Ayuk's year 2, and now they're going to be able to complement each other and basically play together for the first time, hopefully. And so I think we'll really get to see where they really can be. If Peter King is talking potential, yes, they could definitely be potential in the upper echelon, top 5 wide receiver duos in the league. Because not much separates them from AJ Brown and Julio. Not much separates them from CeeDee Lamb and Cooper. Because these CeeDee Lamb and Coop, like, these guys aren't levels above them. As a matter of fact, I would take the Niners skill position receivers over the Chiefs, because if you really think about it, Tyreek Hill is really the one wide receiver 1 they have. They don't really have a wide receiver 2, a wide receiver 3. That's nice.
They got
Kelsey is really right. They got Mecole Hardman, but I'm taking. Mecole Hardman, Richie James. You know what I mean? So put Richie James with the Chiefs and have Mahomes just throwing rockets. You know what I mean? So
that's a good thing.
You can flip flop Kelsey. You can flip flop Kelsey and Kittle.
Right.
Same thing.
I think that's a good note that you touch on there, because I tell my homies, and we're talking about it, and it's like you can name people like Godwin and stuff like that, but like I don't think Godwin is just better than Brandon Ayuk. Like, yeah, more productive, but it's like, well, look who he's played with. Godwin has gotten a chance to play with, but he been able to play with Jameis Winston, who for all Jameis Winston is kind of bad or whatever.
He's letting that bitch go. Yeah,
he's
letting
that whole out.
Go. Yeah,
he's airing that whole out. So you're gonna put up numbers with him. He's gonna give you every opportunity to excel. And then you go from him to Fitzpatrick, who same thing. He gonna let that whole go. And then you got Tom Brady, who's the GOAT. So it's like you are in the most ideal situation where you got
AB and Mike Evans. AB and Mike Evans is a trump card. I mean, they're alphas. They're legit wide receiver 1 still, and AB got fresh legs. He's definitely still wide receiver 1. So they definitely have the best tandem by far.
Right, but yeah. So I don't know. I'm curious to see where they go this year. I just want it's like, bro, just can we get a healthy season out of these dudes?
Absolutely.
So we can really see their full potential. Deebo, Ayuk, like, come on, like, just get it together so we can see what y'all really are. Because I think they can be definitely a really good group, especially with George Kittle. You start to add the run game, you start to add Trey Lance whenever he gets on the field, and now you're talking about a special offense. And I think that's what the 49ers are missing. Great, really good offense. Like they executed at a high level. Kyle Shanahan did a lot of things to help, but I think you can get all these dudes, 17 games together, as my guy Brandon said. Like, I mean, and it's a lot of games, but if you can get these guys, I wouldn't even say 17, but they can play 14 games together.
You're right.
Now we're
We'll
talking about
take it.
special. We're talking about a
Yeah,
special offense. All right.
absolutely.
Let's transition here a little bit. All right, we're gonna get in. I know I see the Trent Sherfield comments. We're gonna get into that, but there was one comment I wanted to touch on real quick, and it is, where's it at? Right here. So Kendrick Bourne said that the Patriots practice way harder than the Niners. And my initial thoughts are, duh, everybody knows that the Patriots, like just the way that organization is ran and how they practice and things that you hear come out of New England. I remember I was watching something and they were talking about how New England be practicing during bye weeks heading into the playoffs. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, scrimmaging during the bye week, like scrimmage going all out. So I just think the way that organization is ran, like, and there's not one way to skin a cat. Like, you can be a team that's run like that. Shoot, I played with San Jose Sabercats. You can attest to how during our bet was, like, it was ran like that, where, like, bro, this was not fun. Everything was hella hard. But, you know, hold on. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying? We got the championship. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Can y'all see that? There it is right there. Ooh.
That bling.
Yeah.
Arena Bowl. What Arena Bowl
So,
is that?
you know what I'm saying? So we ended up winning the championship, but, like, yeah, it was hella hard. I've been on other teams too, and we didn't practice out, but we were hella good. So I didn't take offense to his comments. It's just like, well, the Patriots have been that type of organization and they demand that type of, you know, practice and things like that and just the environment of it. But kind of what were your thoughts when you heard that? Because I know a lot of 49er fans took offense to it.
I actually didn't. This is the first time I'm hearing of it. But
you didn't hear it?
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it.
I just saw it all on Twitter, but
yeah, I haven't really been seeing too much of what's going on outside of any other team but the Niners. But you know, I see a lot of Niner fans still, you know, still want to see what KB's up to, and I mean, I guess, yeah, it doesn't surprise me, especially given the injury history that they've had. I think over the past few years, I think Shanahan's done everything he could to get this team fresh by week 1. And I don't think he was trying to overwork those dudes, even more so this year with canceling minicamp and some of the OTAs when they did, just when, you know, a couple guys went down. I don't see any of that happening over there in New England at all. So I can imagine it being night and day, going from I would say a player's kind of coach from Shanahan. You know, he's in there listening, you know, he's wearing J's, listening to Lil Wayne. You remember what Emmanuel Sanders did when he first got there. So, and he's going from that and then going from, you know, California. It's a little more relaxed, and, you know, now he's going, you know, to the East Coast, and he's going with, you know, the GOAT, arguably the GOAT. Some people say Bill Walsh, some people say, you know, Bill Belichick.
It's Bill Belichick, bro. It's Bill.
It's Bill Belichick. Yeah, he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. But I mean, he also had time, and we never saw him win. But I guess we never saw Walsh win without Joe
like
Montana.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he's the GOAT. It's not arguable. He's the GOAT. But yeah, obviously you go from that, and then you go from Shanahan, and you go over to that. Yeah, it's gonna look crazy. It's gonna look like it's night and day. Obviously, we're not at these practices, so we can't see how it's actually ran. We don't know if they're going straight from individuals to Skelly, the team, the special teams to screen, you know, run and screen. Like, we don't know if they're and then mixing in conditioning afterwards. You know, some coaches, that is your conditioning. You know, going from each drill to each drill, that is the conditioning. If we all look good, we done. Like, we don't know if Bill Belichick's like that. We don't know if it's, regardless whether you're running the drill to drill, we also running after practice. I heavily doubt that, just because it's the league. Like, cats aren't conditioning and doing none of that anymore. There are no more double days. So I guess it's subjective. It's a subjective comment that I would like to have more details on, but it doesn't surprise me at all. You know, I hope KB succeeds and does well out there. But yeah, it's definitely a subjective comment that, you know, we'll see how it works out for him. We'll see if the lighter practices with the Niners suited him better, or, you know, the tougher practices and whatever he's going through out there in New England is going to suit him better when it comes to regular season.
All right, so let's get into the next little topic here. And again, if you guys aren't already, make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You know what I'm saying? I gotta start adding your putting your Twitter handle so they can follow you on Twitter, man. And everybody.
I need to get more active. I need to get more active on that.
Start to follow you on there. I'll start tagging you and stuff, and we just communicate and stuff, and everybody get to know my dog Jasper, because he hasn't been like heavy on Twitter, but he'll be the first one to call me or text me about something that's going on with the 49ers. I was like, you know what, we just need our own show together. But everybody wants to talk about this. You got Trent Sherfield. Sounds like he's doing well. And it almost seems like every year, you got a receiver that's like standing out, or a running back, or a defensive back that starts to kind of pick up steam and get a lot of hype. Do you think this is something that can stick? Because first of all, Trent Sherfield, I thought that he was someone who was intriguing from the standpoint of maybe like special teams value. I thought he was like a 5'10", 185-pound, 190-pound guy. Turns out he's 6'1", 220 pounds. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, this is a big dude. And obviously we see him stretch the field. We got Trey Lance throwing bombs to him. But you think this is a real thing, man? Like, you think that this is a guy, Trent Sherfield can possibly not only make this roster, but can he beat out a guy like Mohamed Sanu, or can he start? Is he starting to get more ticked than like a Richie James? Is it somebody that's just really taking advantage of the opportunity? Because it seems like every day, and you touched on it before we got recorded, but every day it seems like his name is kind of popping up, making plays.
Yeah, and I think it's a combination of two things. One, he's a special teams guy. So one thing I know about, being an ex-player is there's not too many people that are gonna outwork special teams. The dudes who are specifically special teams guys, you're not gonna outwork those dudes. You're not going to. And the fact that he's a receiver playing special teams, or being a special teams guru as a receiver, he's not gonna get tired. So in one-on-ones, he's gonna look good because he's running everything probably full speed. As he should. And I think it's also helping him going with the twos and playing with Trey Lance, who's letting that thing go and giving him an opportunity to make big plays. Like, it's one thing to catch a bunch of curls and slants, if you're running with the ones or the twos. Those aren't really wild plays that are going to pop on film necessarily, unless they're in goal line and you got to win in a really tough situation. But if you're catching bombs, backside digs and things like that, where you're making the quarterback look good and he's making you look good, vice versa. I think can it be something that's sustained where he beats out a Mohamed Sanu? I don't think so. Maybe a Richie James, possibly, but then again, Richie James also gives you special teams value with his kick return. It was kick return and punt return value. So I think it's all. I think it's camp. I think it's just it's a guy who's looking good in camp right now. But I wouldn't look too much into it past other than he's working with Trey Lance, and Trey Lance is giving him an opportunity to make plays, and he's capitalizing.
Right. And Brandon Vincent right here, he said in his last interview, he said he's happy to help the team, whether it's special teams or catching passes. So that's definitely a guy that you like to have in the mix with 100%. Things. So that's exciting to see, because special teams, man, 100%. There's a lot of value there, and he knows that's his way to making the squad. Can he impact, whether he's a gunner, whether he's covering kickoffs, whatever it is, returning kicks, punts, but just to kind of be out there, put yourself out there and say, hey, look, I'm willing to do anything that you guys ask me to do. That's going to be his way to make the team. And then from there, take advantage of it as a receiver, and, if that opportunity presents itself. But there are a lot of guys that special team first.
Raheem Mostert, perfect example. He started off, he really only made the team as a special teams guy. Now he's basically a RB1 the past 2 seasons. So he's a good example of that.
Right. So touch on a little bit, and what are your kind of thoughts? And it doesn't sound like he's heavily involved, but Jalen Hurd. He participated in 11-on-11. And when I saw that, it kind of made me smile, just because I like guys, man, that have to battle through adversity, and they go through things. And there have been a lot of people that just wrote him off. Like, he'll never play in a 49 uniform ever, after the 2 injuries that he's dealt with, missing back-to-back years. And he's been fighting back, man. And next thing you know, boom, he's out there, 11-on-11. He's active. So what are your thoughts on just maybe the potential of that, and what are you looking forward to in next week's preseason game?
Man, it's just to see him hopefully be active and be able to play, man. As someone, again, like we touched on, I think in either episode 1 or episode 2, I've recently come off an ACL, and I do know with him and Bosa, I'm seeing the scheduled maintenance days, and I've definitely seen some reports of people being, worried about them, or why are guys like D Ford able to, participate already, and Bosa isn't, and why is Hurd, resting again? And those few days, just like Jerick McKinnon went through his few years trying to battle back from that, those few days of intense running or intense cutting or intense or lifting, whatever the case, whatever you're doing on that, reconstructed knee, those days of your sore, they're real. They're like, it's not fake. It's not that he's re-injured it. It's not that it's so, but those days are going to happen regardless, because that new ligament that's been put in there now needs time to catch up. Like, your old ACL had been in your knee your entire life. You know what I mean? So this new one that they've reconstructed, or however they do, whether it's a graft, whether they, take it from your hamstring, whatever the case may be, it needs time to literally get settled in. So, with that being said, it's a really, really good sign, the fact that he's cleared for 11-on-11 and one-on-ones now. He's cleared for contact. He's going to still have those recurring sore days, just like Bosa is probably going to go through, especially that first year post ACL. I wouldn't expect that next year, if he does make it through the season and everything happens and he has no setbacks. I wouldn't expect that the next year, but no, it's a big sign that he's now coming off of that and now being active and being able to go through 11-on-11 and not just stretch and be done for the day and taking a mental day. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing him, because again, like we've talked about in length, he brings a nasty, completely different aspect to that 49ers receiver room. That again, I don't think anybody's really seen, because there's nothing really like him in the NFL. There really isn't. I think he's one of one. He's a unicorn. He's an anomaly. 6'5", 230, former running back turned receiver that runs like a gazelle, but also gets in and out of his breaks like a little guy. So I
don't think people understand how special that is. Like,
exactly.
To be able to do that.
I say that right. I say that so casually, but again, it's wild that he can do that. And that he has that aspect, on top of the fact that he finishes his runs. Like, he looks for punishment, to deal out punishment. Not a lot of guys, even big guys, a lot of big guys who can be big bodied receivers, but shy away from contact. Maybe they're more finesse possession receivers. He's not that. At his best, right. I don't think he'll be a possession receiver. I think he's going to be somebody, again, that looks for contact, that looks to punish, and finish after the catch. And again, that's a missing aspect that this team doesn't have much. Debo is technically that guy, but you don't want Debo to always be that guy.
Right.
And, he's, susceptible to injuries like he's been over the past few years. So if you have somebody like Jalen Hurd that you can mix it up with, along with throwing him in the backfield, sky's the limit for this offense. And again, it can just be another weapon, and this offense can be really special, really special.
And it seems like a lot of receivers right now are getting off, and AK has a great question, and AK, we appreciate the contribution here to the show. And with all the receivers getting off, I think there is that question, and it's like, honestly, do our corners suck?
I want to take this one. I want to take this one.
Do your thing.
And then I'll let you finish. The way I look at it, again, I'm biased because I'm coming from the receiver room. My receiver coach Doug, the one thing he said when we first, probably one of our first meetings, was, if you do your job correctly as a receiver, if you do everything right, there's no DB that could ever stop you. I don't care if he's Deion Sanders. He'd have to be an X-Men, because you can't go before me, and you're constantly reacting or you're guessing. So in most situations, if you run the perfect route, you're going to beat the perfect coverage most of the time. So when it comes to questions like this in camp specifically, what I also think, and I've seen it in some of the highlights, whether it's your ones going against your ones, twos going against twos, threes against threes, whatever the case may be. If you've noticed this, Croc, they're pulling up and they're letting a lot of the receivers finish these. They don't want anybody tripping on anybody. They don't want anybody. They're live, but they're not. You know what I mean? Especially the first week of camp, and especially when they weren't even in shells yet. They were just in jerseys, and I already saw, he let Debo finish that. He could have come underneath him. He could have done. He let him have that rep. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit of both of that. I think the DBs and I think that the Niners specifically right now are so cautious of trying to take care of each other, and stay up, not falling down. None of the things. They're very, very, very just like honed in on getting to week one healthy, which they haven't been able to do for seems like forever. And the other aspect of it is, I think we have really good skill position players that are, I think, showing out, and they're hungry right now, and they're definitely winning more often than not. But that's not to say the corners aren't making plays as well. I
Right.
think I don't think our corners suck by any means. I'm hearing Beretta's locking shit down almost on a daily basis. And then right now we're still without E-Man. I think he's still in the protocol and he should be coming off that soon. And yeah, other than that, it's some rookies and some guys that haven't really been battle tested. So I wouldn't say they suck by any means. Our depth is lacking. But yeah, go ahead, Croc. You can attest to some of the things that I said. Some of it's true, some of it's subjective, of course.
No, I think that's about right. Yeah, and me and Dub, we've had this conversation as well. We had this conversation. We were texting. I mean, one morning we must have both been up just hella early. He's sending me stuff. I'm sending him stuff. Dub, for if y'all don't know, this coach Dub Williams, Keith Williams. He's actually a receiver coach for Baltimore Ravens now, but he's been like the godfather of receiver training. Devontae Adams, Kenny Stills, Tariq Hill. Sammy Walker. I mean, the list goes on and on. Like it's just like
he used to just be NorCal, but now now everybody comes in. So anybody in NorCal, and you play football, most people in NorCal know who Coach Dub is.
So and he's from my hometown. He's from Stockton, but Coach Dub again, yeah, he's Baltimore Ravens receiver now. But we texting and stuff, and we going back and forth, and he's like, "Look, Croc, like it don't matter what, like there is no good no good cornerback. Like in his head." There is no good corner because, like you said, if we do everything that we're supposed to do, then we should win the rep, like point blank. So there's always a reason. Can I tell him, like, why is there always a reason that the receiver lost the rep? Like, why can't it just be the corner did a good job? And he's like, nah, it's always going to be something the receiver
that
did.
We did not do. Mm-hmm.
And that's probably really a frustrating answer for me. But all the receivers are kind of getting off, and we're seeing things. We're seeing the flashes. We're seeing Deebo Samuel. Seems like he's consistent. Brandon Ayuk. I was looking at a pass catching chart yesterday from Jimmy Garoppolo, and he had completed 4 straight passes to Brandon Ayuk. So I think, if we're talking about from a fantasy standpoint, buy high on Brandon on Ayuk stock. You and I were talking about we would probably take Deebo first. I know I would. Yeah. I'll take Deebo first, but that's gonna be intriguing. Let me know if you guys have any more questions, man. We're gonna start to get up out of here, wrap this show up. I appreciate everybody for coming in. AK, I appreciate the contribution. In the super chat, man, this has been a lot of fun, man. But I'll answer this last question. I thought this was really good. What's going on with Deebo's hamstring issues? And Deebo, and I mentioned this on Locked On 49ers. If you guys aren't already, make sure you guys follow, subscribe, whatever, to Locked On 49ers podcast with myself and Brian Peacock, man, daily. We're putting out podcasts daily. But I had a guy, my guy Ryan, new athlete, up there in Portland. Remember in Portland, next to the building where we did all of our meetings and stuff, remember there was that gym next to it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's Ryan, new athlete. Now he got a big old facility out there in like Vancouver, Washington or something like that, right? And so I'm talking to Ryan last week, and I'm going to have Ryan on the show. I'm talking to Ryan, and he's like, yeah, like he does this training called GOTA training. He's GOTA certified. Like that's how the training or whatever that he uses or whatever. And it talks about how guys, a lot of it is just teaching them the proper way to like walk, stand, run. A lot of it is for injury prevention. And yet last week he says, Deebo Samuel is not going to last, Croc. And I'm like, what? Like, and he's just telling me about the way that Deebo trains, some kind of power and stuff within the ankles and all this other stuff, and how it's going to shoot up, and he's going to have to say hamstring and quad and growing injuries and things, and like it's not going to go away until he fixes the way that he runs, the way that he walks, and all those things. I'm like, what? And then yesterday morning, he tells me again, we were talking about something. He was showing me this video of this guy, and you can see it. Like you can see all the pressure go to the ankle, and then how everything else starts to flare up. And he's like, and that's why he's like, I was telling you, like Deebo Samuel, like he's gonna get hurt, like he's gonna have these issues. And then later that day or morning, sure enough, Deebo sits out with a groin injury. Now he was back today, and he's ready to go. But I do wonder if this is true, what my guy is saying. Are these things that are going to be consistent with Deebo Samuel? Like, is he going to continue to have these type of soft tissue injuries? And is off of how he runs. So, we got Roger here, Roger Rose, and I appreciate the question. What is going on with Deebo's hamstring issues? Again, like somebody said, we got Scott in the comments said, yes, Deebo's growing. But if that's the case, man, he's gonna have to fix some of how he trains.
I mean, he has had he's had both. To be fair, Scott, he's had both groin and hamstring, both soft tissue issues. Both can flare up randomly and be chronic, over your playing career. So I'm sure as frustrated as we are, he's even more frustrated about it. And to your guys' point, Croc, I mean, yeah, it might be just how he's training and how he's walking, how he's running. There's definitely a lot of truth into that for sure, especially with soft tissue. You can't, yeah.
And Tim, man, I appreciate it. Appreciate the super chat. He said, for repping the kiddo in the background, Crock Rose, love the analysis. Let's go. This is coming from a baseball guy still learning football. Yeah, man. Hey, yeah, that's my baby right there. That's my daughter Pickle. You know what I'm saying? When she was a baby, so she's right there on the jersey. I got a big old it's hiding right now. I'm gonna start hanging some stuff up, but I got a poster of my son Juice and everything. So, I always try to show love to the kiddos, man. I appreciate the nice comments on liking the show. Jasper is just getting his feet wet, man. We just getting started, baby.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, Tim.
Yeah, man. And Roger Rose, another contribution. We appreciate it, man. Like all the super chats is gonna go to going towards the show and contributing to different things that we got going on, things that are coming. I'm excited to mention in the near future. So those things are gonna be really cool. But that's gonna do it for this episode of Wideout Wednesday. I appreciate everybody for coming in. Jasper, my guy. I'll catch you next Wednesday?
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Intercepted. It is picked up by Aaron Crocker. Over midfield, he'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Crock Talk TV podcast. Peace.